online, and we just went live on Facebook.
Okay, do we need to, let's see. Why don't we just go ahead and get started with the meeting? I was just trying to count and see if we have a quorum, but let's just go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we'll get to that at roll call. Hopefully some folks jump on. So welcome everyone to the Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023 meeting of the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee. My name is Honey Mahogany. I am chair of the San Francisco Democratic Party, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Thanks everyone for being here. And as I said earlier, the first item on the agenda is a roll call. And I believe I see we have Recording Secretary Lee on. Recording Secretary Lee, would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. We'll go ahead with roll call. Member Oblos.
Present.
Member Baraka.
Here.
Member Barry.
Present.
Member Campos is excused. Member Chen. Member Dufty. Member Galata.
Present.
Member Ibanez. Member Kim. Member Lacroix. Member Lee here. Member Loftus is excused. Member Lovett. Member Chair Mahogany. Member Mandelman. Member Marr is excused. Member Maliga. Member Morales.
Here by proxy.
Member Raju.
Here by proxy.
Thank you. Member Ronan. Member Thomas. Member Tung.
Here.
Member Williams. Member Zoe is excused. Member Feinstein.
Here by proxy.
Member Pelosi.
Here by proxy.
Member Mullen and Kounalakis are excused. Member Ma.
Here by proxy.
Member Cohen.
Here by proxy.
Member Weiner. Member Haney. And Member Ting. If you are here as a proxy or I just missed you, just type it in chat and I'll get you on the roll call. But Chair, we do have quorum.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Recording Secretary Lee. We'll now move on to item number 2, the approval of the meeting agenda. Everyone should have gotten the 72-hour notice. There were some changes. Specifically, one thing that we will need to vote on is, as everybody knows, this is February, this is Black History Month, and we here at the Democratic Party feel really lucky to be able to bring a bit of that history and culture tonight to this meeting. Unfortunately, it was not on the 10-day notice, but we do have an item being added, a brief presentation by Reverend Amos Brown from the NAACP, and he wanted to speak to us, give us some remarks regarding Black History Month, but also update us on some of the work that is happening here in the city specific to the African American community, specifically around reparations. So thank you, Member Barry, for organizing this for us, and also for bringing forward the resolution on reparations in the African American community. Colleagues, I'm hoping we can add the opportunity for Reverend Amos Brown to speak to us as item number 7. So I would like to make that amendment to the agenda. Are there any other amendments that need to be made to the agenda? Okay, I don't see any hands, so I'm going to take that as a no. Therefore, can we have a motion to amend the agenda, to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Galata. Is there a second? Thank you, Member Avalos. I think we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you, colleagues, for passing that amendment. The agenda is now approved, and we'll move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the meeting minutes. So this approval will include approvals for meeting minutes from July 27th, August 13th, and also last month's meeting of January 25th. So I'm super excited to say that we are all caught up on our minutes. And so are there any amendments to any of the meeting minutes that were posted or included in the agenda? Oh, Vice Chair Braca.
I just have a couple, but I don't want to be too picky about this kind of stuff. There were just some spelling errors, but I also wanted to mention that on this first one that we're reviewing, I believe it's July 27th, it shows me as excused, but I think I participated, I voted in those meetings, so I didn't know. I think I probably put that in just in case I couldn't get in due to Wi-Fi issues. I was on the road then, so I just don't know how that's going to be recorded. I'm listed as excused, but I'm voting, so I don't know how that runs down. And in paragraph E, there were just some typos in my statement.
In the statement that you made?
Yeah, on in paragraph E on that.
Okay. All right, we can definitely take a look back at that and make those amendments. It may have been, like you said, that you submitted an excused request for excusal, but then made the meeting anyway. So we can go back and change that. Thanks for catching that, Vice Chair Braca. Any other amendments to the notes? All right, so is that was for the July meeting, is that correct? Then perhaps we can make a motion to amend the notes for the July meeting to reflect the remarks by Vice Chair Braca, and then approve the meetings for August 13th and 25th, as well as the amended meeting notes for the meeting of July 27th. Can someone make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Member Barry. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Galata. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you so much for approving those notes, and thank you again to Vice Chair Braca for pointing that out. I will say that we have definitely had a lot of catching up to do, and I just want to also send a shout out to our interns who really helped to help us catch up on those notes, and we will make those amendments and get them back out here. So thank you again. We'll now move on to item number 4. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I wanted to give a special shout out to one of our interns, Sean Hale, who really put a lot of work into those meeting minutes. So Sean, thank you so much for all of your work and helping us get caught up on those notes. And I'm sorry that I forgot to mention you specifically by name earlier. We'll now move on to item number 4, general public comment. We here at the DCCC take public comment very seriously. We really enjoy hearing from members of the public, and every member of the public is going to have 2 minutes to speak tonight on any of the agenda items that were outlined or that were put forward in the 72-hour notice. In addition, if there are any other things that members of the public want to inform the DCCC about, they are welcome to. I would just put in the caveat that we really value respect in these meetings, and so to please keep language as respectful as possible in your public comments. So with that, I will turn the rest of public comments over to our Executive Director, Moises Garcia.
Thank you, Chair. See, if you would like to make public comment, please use the raise hand function, which can be found at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are listening to this meeting via your phone, please dial *9 to enter the queue. If you encounter any difficulties, please send an email to info@sfdemocrats.org. Each member of the public will have 2 minutes to address the SFDCCC. Associate SFDCCC members have floor privileges and may exceed the 2-minute time limit. I'll promote folks in the order that I see hands raised, and I thank you in advance for your patience. At this moment, I'm going to promote Leticia Irving, Susan Pfeiffer, and Alondra Esquivel. Go ahead, Leticia, and I will start your timer.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Leticia Irving. I'm a native daughter of San Francisco, born and raised in the Bayview Hunters Point area. I'm also an educator with the San Francisco Unified School District, a member of the San Francisco Reparations Advisory Committee holding seat 15, and most importantly, I am a parent of two young ladies also born in this city and raised and educated in San Francisco Public Schools. I come to you tonight with appreciation for Member Berry for putting the reparations support resolution before you, but also asking you to be on the right side of history as you have been so many times before. Black folks, as you know it, have had every right denied to us, from education to housing to safe living environments, access to proper nutrition, health services, mass incarceration, unfair disciplinary practices, and so much more. We have been denied the basic human rights. Every disparity that can possibly exist has been borne by Black folks, not only in this country, but right here in San Francisco. San Francisco has a debt to pay to Black people, and it is so much more than a payout. The African American Reparations Advisory Committee has spent time researching the harms, San Francisco laws, policies, practices, talking to members of our community, from our young folks to our elders. With the help of the Human Rights Commission, we've drafted a plan that centers healing, restoration, retribution, as well as compensation for the perpetual harm and withholding that has been caused to our people. As the San Francisco Democratic Central Committee responsible for educating our voters on this issues of importance to our community, and most importantly, issues of equity, I'm asking you to support this resolution and to support Black folks in this city. We have to stand up to perpetuators of white supremacy and the benefactors of racism, enslavement, and the marginalization of Black folks. We have to stand up for what is right and what is just and what is rightfully deserved by Black people. We cannot do it alone, and we need your backing. We need you to be bold in your support. We're counting on you, again, to be on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Susan Pfeiffer.
Hi, good evening, fellow Democrats. I have some exciting news, I think, for some people to report tonight. Last November, after we had a marathon phone banking for the midterms and did really well, better than expected, we were exhausted. And people were like, oh God, I'm glad I don't want to do that anymore. Now, recently, people are starting to say, what can we do? Where can we phone bank? Our juices are flowing again. And there is a very exciting and important election coming up in Wisconsin. They are electing their Supreme Court justices. And there is a Democrat, you can't call it Democrat, it's a nonpartisan race, but they get around that. So the Democrat is Janet Prosadowicz, and I can teach people how to say her name. She won the primary on Tuesday, so the general election started tonight or today. The election will be April 5th, I think, 4th or 5th. I'd have to look that up. But we're going to be phone banking to help win. The reason this is important is when the Supreme Court overturned Roe, there was a bill passed in Wisconsin in 1849, virtually banning all abortions. It is still on the books. Roe overrode that. When the Supreme Court knocked that down, that law is actually being implemented. So the future of women in Wisconsin is at stake. If we and by winning this race, it would give us, the Democrats, a 4-3 majority on their state Supreme Court. And there's also redistricting is bubbling up through the courts. They have some of the worst gerrymandered districts in the country. Those are the two most important cases that are going to go before the state Supreme Court. If we can win that race and flip the Supreme Court Democratic, we can blow the lid off Wisconsin. And of course, the presidential election next year and a lot of other things. So we're working with the WisDems, as they are called. The Bay Area Coalition began Wednesday afternoon, weekly phone banks this afternoon from 3:30 to 5:30. We will be doing that, but we are reopening, actually never closed, the Team Pelosi neighborhood office on Castro Street, which is now what it's called. It's the Team Pelosi neighborhood office. So we will be phone banking there starting on March 5th on Sundays from 1 to 5. So you can come at any point and spend a couple hours making calls. And also on Wednesdays, starting March 8th from 3:30 to 5:30. An email is going out with a mobilized link. It has gone out, but we'll keep sending it out. So that's important work that we're doing. And I want everyone, now that we don't have any other citywide elections going on, members of the DCCC can also come and make calls and help us. And it's fun in person. I'm bringing the bells back. So be on the lookout, and I'm sure Moises will also get the word out as well. So that is it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Susan. Next up is Alondra Esquivel.
Hello, SFDCCC. I'm Alondra Esquivel Garcia, co-vice president of the San Francisco Women's Political Committee. I'm here today in my personal capacity to speak in support of Nadia Rahman's DSCC appointment. I have known Nadia for many, many years now, and it's been truly a pleasure to work alongside her, learn from her, and advocate alongside her as well. Nadia has demonstrated courage, integrity, teamwork, and allyship on various different issues such as housing, women, human rights, and immigration. She's led the San Francisco Women's Political Committee these last 2 years, during which the organization strengthened its voice in the San Francisco political sphere and held San Francisco community accountable for sexual harassment and assault. Nadia is a powerhouse, a doer, someone who truly understands where to meet people at and isn't afraid to ask the hard questions. I urge this body to support her DSCC appointment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Nicole Cunningham, followed by Nadia Rahman, and then Martin Rawlings-Vane.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Nicole Cunningham. I am here in support of Gloria Berry. This is item 8 for the resolution that she'll be introducing later in the agenda. I am a native San Franciscan, born and raised in the Fillmore, currently living in the Bayview. I am part of the Reparations Task Force of San Francisco. Seat number 6 is the only seat I qualified for, which is, have you ever been discriminated in the workplace? And that answer is yes. I'm a city and county social worker, and I currently have a lawsuit against the city that has been in motion for almost 7 years. I have a trial date in June of this year due to discrimination as a disabled worker. And excuse me, until Black people can walk this country and feel safe and secure like white women can walk anywhere in this country and feel accepted and protected anywhere they go. Until we as Black people can have those same privileges, just because we're born Black, those same privileges, we are not safe. So I'm asking for you to adopt this resolution to make sure that Black people can have the things that we need. I have 2 Black children, and I do worry about them. I have 2 Black ex-husbands, and I do worry about them. In society, I worry about myself. I'll give you a personal experience. As a healthcare, I was seeking mental health services. I've had a Black doctor for 5 years. She went on maternity leave and never came back. I cannot find a Black doctor at Kaiser right now. And that Black doctor was able to explain to me why the COVID vaccine was necessary. She broke it down to me like a 6-year-old because I needed to understand that. And my ex-husband has gone to a clinic on San Bruno that was all Asian. When we walked in there, I saw Asian people everywhere. And I said, wow, how fortunate they are to have people that look like them, that speak their language and serve them the way that we need. So I am saying, please help put these things forward so we can go into a Black clinic, have Black workers, have Black secretaries, have Black doctors, so we can get the things that we need. And there's a bunch of things that are going on that Black people need. Unfortunately, this is long. Thank you.
Next up is Nadia.
Hello, fellow Democrats. It's good to be with you all tonight. Thank you to Chair Mahogany for nominating me to be a delegate to the California Democratic State Central Committee for the 2023-2025 term. I wanted to share a little bit about myself with you all tonight before you vote. I became very active in organizing and activism in 2016. It started with organizing for protests and marches and quickly evolved into organizing people for ongoing advocacy on democratic aligned issues and causes under threat at the time. In the last several years, I've been active within our local political community here in San Francisco, serving in leadership for a Democratic club, and most recently leading San Francisco Women's Political Committee for the 2021 and 2022 terms. In my time with SFWPC, I worked with the board to make the organization truly intersectional and one that demonstrated real solidarity. In that time, SFWPC strengthened its voice and held the political community accountable on tough issues like sexual assault. My own journey the last few years has helped me see how marginalized and unrepresented and unsupported the communities I identify with are within systems of power here in San Francisco and in California more broadly. That includes women of color, people of Southwest Asian and North African origin, and Muslims. My goal is to represent their interests and issues within the California Democratic Party. Thank you for your time, and I ask you for your support tonight.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Martin Rawlings Fine, followed by Emma Heiken, Luis Zamora, Hala, my apologies. Hi,
Hijazi.
Thank you. Great, go ahead, Martin.
Hello, SF Democrats. I am Martin Rawlings Fine, the co-president of the Raoul Wallenberg Jewish Democratic Club, and we are rechartering tonight. Thank you very much. Our goal is to provide a role for every enthusiastic Jewish Democrat to be involved in the future of the Democratic Party and local, state, and national government policy. Number one, we hope to encourage San Francisco residents to engage and participate in local, state, and national politics. And number two, we aim to educate the public about issues that concern the Jewish community. And in 40 years of San Francisco activities, the Wallenberg Club has become a top advocate for the Jewish community's essential issues, and we're happy to be back. I also wanted to say thank you to Member Berry for putting the resolution of support of reparations, item 8 on, and Chair Mahogany for resolution condemning legislative attacks on transgender youth on the agenda tonight. That is item 9, and it's a trans parent of a trans child. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Emma.
Thank you. My name is Emma Heiken, and today I'm here to thank Chair Mahogany, for the opportunity to represent San Francisco as a delegate to the California Democratic Party. I was raised by a proud family of Democrats who embodied what it means to fight for our neighbors, our climate, and the next generation. We hugged trees, we welcomed immigrants, and I learned to embrace the unknown and work for a brighter future. That's San Francisco. I've spent my career fighting to make San Francisco realize this future in my community in the Mission, in my advocacy for the immigrant community, with my allies in the Tenants Union, the United Democratic Club, the Women's Political Committee, SFDCCC, and my work in City Hall. I'm grateful for this opportunity to lead not only our city, but our state and our country into a world of inclusion instead of division and progress instead of digress. I look forward to your support. Let's get to work.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Luis Zamora.
Good evening, members. It's good to see you. I wanted to start out also by thanking Chair Mahogany for allowing me the opportunity to serve as a delegate for a short time last year and for reappointing me again tonight. I've enjoyed working with many of you over the years as either past president of the San Francisco Young Democrats, as an immigrant rights commissioner for the city and county, or directly at the state party level advocating for the LGBT community within our LGBTQ caucus. And I look forward to continuing that work with you and the good work of our party, and humbly ask for your support again. I also want to take a moment to ask for your support in the chartering of the San Francisco Dolores Huerta Democratic Club. I think we can all agree that adding more voices from our communities of color make our party stronger. This new club will elevate the voices of our Latino, Afro-Latino, and Indigenous community members. It will also empower our community to be more informed and involved and active within the political process, and it will participate in labor efforts to improve the lives of workers, their families, and our communities, while providing an inclusive and safe space for forums and discussions on issues of strong interest and impact for our community members. We are excited to work with our fellow Democratic clubs to further our shared values and to work for all our communities. And I also want to support the rechartering of the Raoul Wallenberg Democratic Club, as I believe, as mentioned before, all of our voices make a very intricate tapestry of our Democratic Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Hala, followed by Sarah Souza, Mohammed Yassir, Sophia Andari, and Adriana Zhang. Go ahead, Hala.
Thank you, guys. My name is Hala Hijazi, actually at City Hall at the Black History Month celebration, but I had to sneak out, so I'm in the bathroom because I really want to show support for many of the people listed today for their nominations, and in particular, Nadia Rahman. She has been a force to reckon with, and she's been fearless in her leadership, in her fight for women's rights, for reproductive rights, for Muslim rights, for housing, for the Democratic Party. Okay. She's someone that's going to be a tremendous asset to the DCCC, to the SFDCC, for all their work, whether it's mobilizing resources or money or people. It's really, really an exciting time right now in San Francisco with the different changes that's going on, and to see the diverse leadership that you guys have put together. I really want to say thank you to Mahogany, Honey Mahogany, for all her leadership and hard work. But I really want to emphasize the importance of inclusivity and diversity, and the experience and expertise of people like Nadia Rahman and Yasser, and Hans and Natalie G. There's so many people that are doing so many great work, and I'm so excited to support support you guys even more because of all the work that you guys are doing. So thank you so much, and hopefully Nadia can be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Sarah Souza.
Hi, good evening, Democrats. I wanted to stop by, say hi to everyone, and thank you for all the work you have done in mobilizing voters. But I also wanted to ask you to reaffirm your commitment to uplifting non-citizens and ensure that they have a seat at the table, that we continue pushing the party to do better, but also focus on equity, ensuring that Black and Brown voices are heard, that we support resolutions that are furthering our communities, that we look at potential partnerships to also empower people, monolingual voters that also need to be reached, including low income that are less likely to get involved with our party. So I'm here to work with you, support you, and thank you, Chair Mahogany, for your leadership. And I hope that we can really push the party to include voting for non-citizens and really push in a different way that's more inclusive, that the voices that need to be at the table are at the table to make real change in our democracy. Thank you so much and have a great meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Mohammed Yassir.
Hello and good evening, everyone. Good evening, all the Democrats. My name is Mohammed Yassir. I'm a chapter president for Local 21 and a member of Local 21 Political Action Committee, and working with different communities in San Francisco, including South Asian businesses, Muslim community in different districts in San Francisco. I'm also a part of Excelsior Action Group and doing a lot of good things in our Excelsior neighborhood. I'm very excited and feel honored to see my name in this DSCC appointment list. It's really an honor when you belong to an immigrant family. It means a lot. I'm a proud Democrat, and I mean it. I'm grateful to live in a Democratic city and state. We know how it goes to live in deep red states. I have friends and followers on social media from all over the country, and I see many unfortunate stories. I'm glad I'm here And I'm again very excited and honored to play my role and do the great things in the next 2 years. And hopefully it will accept it. And because the next 2 years are very important with all those elections for our city, state, and all country. So thank you very much for putting my name in the list, and I'm excited and honored and looking forward to be a part of it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Sophia Andare, followed by Adriana Zhang, Monica Barnett, and Gabby Burgos. Go ahead, Monica. Sorry, go ahead, Sophia. Apologies.
Good evening, Democrats. My name is Sophia Andari. I'm extremely honored to be considered for an appointment as a delegate to the DSCC for 2023-2025. Thank you so much, Chair Mahogany. I'm Lebanese American. I'm a queer activist. I've lived in San Francisco for the last 13 years in this same rent-controlled apartment building in District 1. I'm a co-founder of Women's March San Francisco. I'm a commissioner on the Commission on the Status of Women of the City and County of San Francisco. I sit on the board of directors of Alliance for Girls, a nonprofit organization serving, empowering, and supporting girls in the Bay Area and beyond. And a board of advisors of GenUp. It's a youth-led education advocacy organization, primarily in California, but they're building outwards. And I'm a past board member of the Harvey Milk Democratic Club. I have helped volunteer for numerous local and state campaigns. For my day job, and as my mom calls it, my paid job, I'm a systems analyst and consultant, and I'm just really looking forward and hoping that I can continue my activism and supporting the Democratic Party however I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Adriana Zhang.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adriana Zhang. I first want to thank Chair Mahogany for the appointment and invitation to this DCCC meeting. Wanted to quickly introduce myself before the item. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I'm currently 18 years old. I'm studying public policy at Stanford. And how I got into politics was really just wanting to make a better San Francisco for my now 7-year-old sister. But in that process of getting involved, I realized that government is not a welcoming place for young people, for women, immigrants, people of color, and other historically disenfranchised groups. And so I hope to do that through aligning with the Democratic Party, because I know that these are ideals that all of us believe in. I've been a young community organizer in San Francisco. I've led rallies and protests in gun control, racial justice, climate, and even Title IX reform at Lowell when I was there. On the policy front, I was the chair of the San Francisco Youth Commission, where I led a successful Free Muni for Youth campaign, the Vote 16 campaign, which was the Prop G in 2020 that lost by less than 1%. But I also wrote resolutions on topics that I'm very passionate about: preventing AAPI hate crimes, on housing, on climate, all while being a young person in City Hall. And so I would be honored to bring my experience and passion to ADEMS and to the Democratic Party. I've worked and interned at offices on the local, state, and I'm currently at the SF office of Senator Alex Padilla. And so I really value and know how necessary it is for youth voices to be brought to government. And thank you again for the nomination. And I'm really excited to see what we can get done in the next 2 years.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Monica Barnett and then Gabby Burgos. And I'll just remind folks, if you'd like to make public comment, please use the raise hand function, and I will promote you to panelist. Go ahead, Monica.
Good evening, fellow Democrats. My name is Monica Barnett, and I'm here as a DSCCC delegate nominee, and I'm extremely honored to be included on this list of amazing candidates. Even though I'm a non-citizen, I've always been really passionate about promoting the values of the Democratic Party. And I migrated from Zimbabwe to the United States in 2012 and was able to put myself through school while raising 2 young children. In 2019, I volunteered at the California Democratic Party State Convention here in San Francisco, and then again at the Heart of the Resistance Lifetime Achievement Award dinner that was held for Speaker Pelosi. I have volunteered alongside very many of you here tonight on multiple campaigns in the city, including those for Assemblymember Haney, Velasquez Nguyen, Supervisor Dean Preston, and DCCC Chair Honey Mahogany, as well as many other non-local Democratic candidates. I've spent my entire career in San Francisco working in local politics, and most recently for the California State Assembly. In my career, I have worked hard to ensure that every person, no matter their background, has a fair shot at being heard and represented. And as a DSCC delegate, I would like to continue this work, fighting to make sure that everyone has a voice, including immigrant women of color like me. I'm excited to potentially attend the party convention and participate in various caucus meetings and network with other Democrats. So I'm asking for your support tonight. I know that together we can build a stronger, more inclusive Democratic Party that truly represents the people. Thank you for your time and attention, and thank you, Chair Mahogany, for nominating me.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Gabby Burgos Colon.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Democrats. My name is Gabby. I, first of all, would like to thank Chair Mahogany for my nomination for delegate. I had the pleasure of being appointed last year briefly, and I am very thankful for the opportunity to be considered for a reappointment. I am currently the Special Projects Associate at the Transgender District and also serve in the board of Harvey Milk as Officer of Communications and the board of Alice B. Toklas as the co-chair of programs. My goal this year is to really elevate the voice, more diverse voices of trans and non-binary folks primarily, but also marginalized communities across the board. My work has been really centered around providing not only a safe space, not only an empowering space, but also opportunities for growth, both personally, financially, and politically as well. So I really think that I know a lot of y'all, worked with a lot of y'all, so I really hope that we can continue this work and make a difference for 2024. So thank y'all and have a good night.
Thank you for your comments. There are any other members of the public who would like to make public comment, please use the raise hand function. If not, then that will conclude public comment. Chair, I see no other hands at this time.
Okay. Thank you. I do see that Hans Howe is on, and I didn't know if he wanted the opportunity to speak to his appointment as well.
Yes, I'm just promoting him now.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Hans.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank Chair Mahogany for nominating me to be a state delegate. So my name is Hans Howe. For those who don't know me, I first got involved with local activism about 2 years ago when I co-founded Proxy Commissions for All with Sarah Souza. As an immigrant and non-citizen who wanted to serve on a commission, I was not able to do so due to my immigration status. And through the passage of Proxy in November 2020, I was then appointed by the Board of Supervisors to serve on the Housing Stability Fund Oversight Board, where I have advocated for social housing and fought for funding towards affordable housing that our city sorely needs. Other than my advocacy around housing and immigration, I'm also involved in our local Democratic clubs. So I got involved in advocating for public safety for many of our Asian seniors through my involvement first as a member and then board member of the Chinese American Democratic Club, where I'm serving as the vice president this year. I'm also a board member of Alice 2+ LGBTQ Democratic Club, where I've advocated on different issues over time, including making sure that we elevate our voices when it comes to equitable vaccine distribution during the MPX crisis that we faced last year. And I'm hoping that I can continue my activism and advocacy at the state level, and really appreciate, again, Chair Mahogany for nominating me.
Oops. Executive Director.
That would conclude public comment.
Thank you. Now that pesky mute button gets me every time. I thank you to members of the public for giving your comment, and also thank you to all the potential appointees who came to speak to the party today. Thank you for your service and all the work that you've done, and also for being here tonight and presenting to the members. With that, we will now move on to agenda item number 5, which is the appointment of delegates to the California Democratic State Central Committee. I know that you've heard from, I think, almost everyone on this list. The one thing that I wanted to say about this is that, over the last month or so, I've just met with so many people. I've had a lot of people reach out to me asking to be delegates. And for me, I think that it was a very hard decision because we only have so many slots. But it was really important to me to have a diverse group of people with diverse perspectives. And so you'll see in this list, it is a majority of people of color. I believe everyone here on this list has been active in their communities to the point of, I would really call everyone on this list a leader. About a quarter of these folks are labor leaders. A quarter of them are young people. A quarter of them are LGBTQ and have been in leadership, and as you heard in both Alice B. Toklas and Harvey Milk LGBTQ Democratic Club, there are people who've been huge activists with Women's March, SFWPC, housing, with 2 people who are non-citizens who will now have the opportunity to participate in establishing the values of the California Democratic Party and voting on endorsements, which I think is hugely important. So I feel like I have taken a lot into consideration. I know that this is an incredibly strong group of candidates, and I'm really hoping to have the support of members of this body in appointing them. I will say that I do have, I believe, 1 or 2 more appointments to make. I wish I had been able to confirm 2 more people. Unfortunately, we did what we could. The state party really wanted to get us a majority of our appointments done this month, immediately after the election. So I do have a couple more that will trickle in, but I'm hoping that we can get the state party as many delegates as possible tonight and approve this list. So wondering if we can have a motion to approve these delegates to the state party.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you so much. I believe we can do this by acclamation. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, Member Barry abstains. All right, congrats. That mute button. Congratulations to all of the delegates, and thank you, members, for your support. We will now move on to the item number 6, which is our reports. The first one is from myself as chair of the Democratic Party. Colleagues, as you have heard and seen, I have been really busy meeting with a lot of people for assembly delegates, and that has taken a majority of my time this past month, my free time. But we actually have been busy with doing other things as well. One of the projects that the San Francisco Democratic Party has been working on that I have been leading along with our treasurer, Carolina Morales, and our executive director, Moises Garcia, and people from SFWPC, including Alondra and Nadia, who spoke earlier during public comment. We are developing a policy for the San Francisco Democratic Party, really a zero tolerance policy when it comes to sexual assault and harassment. To that end, we are looking for community feedback, and we have developed a survey and have disseminated it through our email lists and online through social media. And we would really appreciate your support in also forwarding that on to your contacts, and of course, in participating in the surveys yourself, because your opinions are absolutely vital as a part of this process as we help to shape this policy. In addition to the Gender Equity Committee and the work that we're doing with SFWPC, we've been busy putting out our first newsletter in a while. And I know our communications director and our executive director may talk more about that, but I'm really excited and proud that we have really refocused this year on doing outreach, on ensuring that people, Democrats, are engaged, both through our mail program, but also through emails, through social media, and in person. So we will continue to do that work. We will be doing more fundraisers, but also more social gatherings. And I just want to thank you all for your participation in advance, and also for your help in organizing some of these events. And with that, I will conclude my chair's message, or my chair's report, and move on to outreach with Vice Chair Lacroix.
You're right, Chair Mahogany. The mute button is getting all of us, or unmute rather. Hello, everybody. Hold on, I'll make sure that I also put on my camera so I see your lovely faces and you see mine. Hi. Okay, so hi, everybody. My name is Leah. I'm your Vice Chair of Outreach. Just to piggyback on what Chair Mahogany said, outreach is a key function of what we have in store for this year. And as we're moving into March, and it being Women's History Month, whoever would like to kind of join me in kind of coming up with a plan and program for our outreach for March, please call me, email me, hit me up, let me know, so that we can work together. I don't think anyone has wanted to participate so far, so just, yeah, happy and always happy to have more people join in. One thing I will share, and I'm speaking into communications a little bit, but so for Black History Month, I think it's really important to showcase the strong and very representational diversity of this year party on DCCC. And one of the things that we have done is ask all of our Black and Black diaspora rooted DCCC members to come up with their profile and just talking about what Black History Month means to them. And so before this lovely month closes, we're just all taking a moment on our social media channels to on the DCCC social media channel, just to reflect that. So myself, Member Barry, Controller Cohen, and everyone else has sent in their profiles. And so please, I encourage everyone to go on social media, retweet, share it out with your friends and colleagues, just to, again, showcase just the vibrancy and diversity of this party. I know Janice and Keith, everyone who's put one in, I was just thinking of the names off the top of my head. And last thing is we're also continuing this on into March for Women's History Month. And so all you ladies for the DCCC kind of get thinking your preferred photo and thinking about what Women's History Month and the women's movement means to you. And we'll be reaching out in the coming days to get your profiles as well. With that, I'll conclude and turn it over to Vice Chair Baraka for voter registration.
Thanks, Leah, or Member Lacroix. Thanks, everyone, for coming out to the voter registration meeting that we had last week. And we had, or a couple, was it a week and a half ago or so? I want to thank, of course, our ED and Susan Pfeiffer and Member Tung for being a part of our voter registration committee. Anyone else who would like to join, please reach out to our ED and he'll get you in touch with me. Or as I always say, you got my phone number, call me. We talked about during the meeting several things that the voter registration committee loves to do, and that's registering voters. And again, we would like your participation to come out and register voters at events like Sunday Streets, street fairs, and we'd also like to get up our door knocking campaign again. And we like to go into some communities that have been probably overlooked and disadvantaged, and people who normally aren't a part of or haven't participated in the democratic process. If folks are interested in that responsibility or that civic duty, please, we would like to do that. This is a great time since we don't have an election this year. Well, we can still register a lot of voters and get people participated in the democratic process. So I won't go on about this. I will just say that we're also, I think the last thing that we talked about doing is that when we have like pop-up events, and what I mean by pop-up protests or rallies or vigils, I think that that's an extra opportunity for us to kind of engage a spontaneous roving voter registration team that could just come to these meetings. Possibly, Susan recommended possibly a sandwich board with a QR code on it, or we could have handouts, but that's important too. And I think that would be an excellent thing to do as well. So that's all I will say at this time. Please, again, feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to join the voter registration committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Baraka. We'll now go on to a report from Vice Chair Glad on communications.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. Good evening, everyone. So the Communications Committee met on Monday, February 13th. Thank you, Chair Mahogany, Vice Chair Lacroix, and Director Garcia for attending. So we reviewed and discussed a proposed protocol for emergent communications needs. And so this rapid response protocol will help ensure the party is responding to unexpected or emergent events in a timely manner. So that may mean, posting on the party's social media channels, releasing a public statement, or sending out a press release. So that protocol is now being reviewed by the executive committee. We also reviewed and discussed updating our newsletter and our template, and thank you to Recording Secretary Lee for her work on helping to develop a new template for us. And as Chair Mahogany said, we've relaunched our monthly newsletter. Thank you to Director Garcia for his leadership and helping to execute content for this month's newsletter. So hopefully everybody saw the newsletter and clicked through. We welcome suggestions and feedback, and we're looking forward to featuring more upcoming events as well as spotlighting activities of our local Democratic clubs in future newsletters. I also want to thank Vice Chair Lacroix for her leadership on social media spotlights and features for celebrating Black History Month and featuring members of the DCCC and continuing that work into next month, celebrating Women's History Month. So thank you for helping us kind of grow and expand our content on social media with these great profiles of our members. We're hoping to also be promoting out more events that we're hosting, as well as events that Democratic clubs are hosting. So please share with us if you see events, and we really encourage Democratic clubs as well to share information with us so that we can help amplify out through our channels. Our next communications committee meeting, we have regular meetings. They will take place on the first Monday of the month. So our next meeting is on Monday, March 6th at 5:30. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Galata. We'll now go to issues and resolutions with Vice Chair Levitt.
Yes, thank you, Chair Mahogany. Just wanted to wish everybody happy Chinese New Year of the rabbit. And normally when people greet each other, they wish each other prosperity, health, and happiness. But none of that is accessible or available when people don't have basic needs met. And so it's so important to look at the resolutions at today's meeting in light of what we need in terms of nutritional access, social safety net programs, protections for LGBTQ people, also reparations. That is an important conversation advancing both locally and in a much broader space. And I want to lift up the history that has sort of informed my understanding around activism. I recently learned about a 100-year-old Black activist who at 85 became a park ranger. And as a park ranger, she was actually, she actually educates people through interpretation about the important history in our country and the areas where we can come together and overcome racism, overcome divisiveness, and overcome the politics that divide us. So I think, as we are invigorated in, getting out more to events, we also, as the SF Democratic Party, have an opportunity to bring people like Reverend Amos Brown, but perhaps people like Betty Reed Soskin, and others that I know from the API space. For example, Pam Tao Lee, who I had a really good conversation with around her activism. She's, by the way, is the founder of the Chinese Progressive Association, and now she is still working actively to ensure that people have access to housing and also economic rights. She was very involved with the UCSF's grad student strike and has also worked with farm workers on the Central Coast. So there are so many local leaders that we can tap to really engage with us on what the Democratic Party is engaged in and cares about. The last thing I want to lift up is that there is a social media czar who has done tremendous work. I joined one of the trainings for what's called social storming, and they have a very snazzy name, Field Team 6. So if you just go to fieldteam6.org, you can find out all about what they do. Their motto is "Registered Democrats Save the World." And so this is a great way for us to tap into the work that is happening across the state party, where you can sort of learn tools and develop what you already know about social media. Yes, I know we're not so crazy about what Elon Musk has done with Twitter, but Twitter skills, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you use. There are upcoming opportunities that I put in the chat. And there's just a number of trainings coming up, including one on registering Democrats March 16th, and that is online. So I'll leave it there and hand it back to Chair Mahogany. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Levitt. I really appreciate what you have to say. And yes, Field Team 6 is pretty incredible, quite a resource. Moving on, we will now move on to a report from our treasurer. Our treasurer Morales is not here, so Executive Director Garcia, do you feel comfortable giving that report?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Chair. So at the moment, we have a combined balance of $31,000 in our state and federal accounts. And we also have $33,600 in our accounts receivable. That includes a refund from the Palace Hotel that's yet to be processed, which is about $7,000, and I followed on that up today. Unfortunately, I made it to our office a little bit late, and so was not able to see some checks that have come in for us recently. So we're working on getting some funds in the door, and to really continue to ensure that we have sufficient funds to meet the needs of the party. And then at this moment in time, we have about $4,000 in accounts payable, and that's primarily because we've been supporting and sponsoring some events like the most recent MLK breakfast and SFYD fundraiser. So I think we're in a pretty healthy place with our funds and using them very to advance our beliefs. and support the issues that we care about. And that concludes our report.
Thank you, Executive Director Garcia. We'll now move on to item the item club relations and chartering. This is generally Member Thomas's jurisdiction, but since he wasn't able to make the meeting today, I'm happy to talk about the two groups who are seeking rechartering, and I believe this is the appropriate time to vote on this. Isn't that correct, Director Garcia? Okay, so we'll be voting on the approval of two clubs. I know that you had the opportunity to hear from representatives from these clubs earlier during public comment. I just want to briefly say that we've been working for quite a while to get the Raoul Wallenberg Club established, and so I'm glad that it's finally gotten there. We welcome a diversity of voices here in San Francisco, and it's one that's been missing in its official capacity as a democratic club for a while. So I really appreciate the work done by Mr. Rawlings Fang to really revitalize this club and bring it back. And then additionally, I wanted to really just appreciate the work that has been done by Mr. Zamora and others and our Executive Director Garcia to really bring forward this new Latinx Democratic Club or Latin Democratic Club. This is one that I'm really excited to approve because it is in the name of, a hero of mine and a hero of many of us, especially within the labor movement, within the organizing movement, within the social justice movement, which is Dolores Huerta, who is a living legend. And if you don't know who she is by some crazy happenstance, there is a really incredible documentary on her. And also, if you all go down to the state convention this year, I oftentimes run into her there. She's very, very active within the Democratic Party. So again, really excited to be able to approve this Democratic Club. And with that, I guess we will take these to a vote, starting with the Raoul Wallenberg Jewish Democratic Club. Can I have a motion to officially approve this Democratic Club?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think I heard Recording Secretary Lee first. I believe we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, congratulations on the unanimous approval to Raoul Wallenberg Jewish Democratic Club. Very excited for you. We will now move on to the second Democratic Club, the Dolores Huerta Democratic Club. Can we have a motion to approve this Democratic Club?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I heard Member Avalos, and then I don't know who seconded first, I'm sorry.
Member Ibanez.
Okay, Member Ibanez, thank you so much. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. I see a hand. Is that a question, Vice Chair Lacroix?
Just a comment to add on this agenda item, but after the vote's concluded.
Okay, and any abstentions? All right, congratulations to Dolores Huerta Democratic Club on the unanimous approval. Always exciting to have new Democratic clubs here in San Francisco. Vice Chair Lacroix.
Yes, I just wanted to, oh shoot, Teams is popping up. I just wanted to say briefly, thank you to all the folks who are organizing, especially around the Dolores Huerta Democratic Club. As someone who is a Black woman in San Francisco, but also like Afro-Latina and Afro-Caribbean, I think it's really important and really special to make sure that Afro-Latino voices are reflected when we talk about the Latino community. And so it was really just nice to have Luis kind of say that. It made me feel seen in this other space of my just kind of being in San Francisco. And I know there's so many other folks who have come up and were raised the same way. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm really excited to support this club and see all the amazing things that they continue to do.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. We'll now move on to interns and we'll return to Vice Chair Levitt.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. So our interns are continuing through the end of their school year, and that's very exciting because we did bring them on a second crop of interns on after the summer. And so Sean and Ishan are continuing in important ways on 4 fronts. So one is the Wisconsin phone banks, and Sean can really rock a phone bank, by the way. Outreach events, fundraising events, and also communications, including social media and any communications with members. So thank you so much for continuing these efforts, and I'll pass this back to Chair Mahogany.
Thank you, Vice Chair Levitt. And we will now pass it back to Vice Chair Galata for an update on partnerships.
Thank you. So I'm just going to do a quick plug again for phone banks and echoing Susan Pfeiffer's remarks earlier, Wisconsin. So April 4th is the election. This is a state Supreme Court race. And the primary was just yesterday. So there's kind of top 2. There's a liberal judge and a conservative judge going going head to head. Leading up to April 4th. So Janet Protasewicz, which I mean, need Susan to correct us on that, but that is the liberal judge that we and many Democrats are starting to organize for and turn out votes for. As Susan mentioned, abortion access, redistricting, voting rights, all of this is at stake. And this is an opportunity to flip the court majority from conservative to liberal in really what has been conservative control for decades. So this is a big opportunity. We've got some time and hopefully more free time than we did to help make calls. Every Wednesday, there will be a virtual option. We're bringing the band back together, Bay Area Coalition, Swing Left, and San Francisco Democratic Party. So you can hop on virtual. You can also go in person in March to the Team Pelosi. Thank you, Team Pelosi, again, for keeping this space and allowing us to gather again to do this work. And so we'll send out more info. There was info in our newsletter about these phone banks. I'm going to drop the Mobilize link in the chat so you can just see all of the upcoming phone banks. There may be more added, but for now, Wednesdays, 3:30 to 5:30. I know that time isn't great for everybody, but it's because of the time change since we're calling into Wisconsin. So, but if you're able to join, if you're able to share info out with your networks, please help us get the word out about this important race. And just thank you. And maybe see folks on the calls in a few weeks. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Galata. We'll now move on to a report from our Executive Director, Moises Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. Just wanted to update folks on a couple things. So we are working on, in the spirit of outreach, we're working on a public program for March to celebrate Women's History Month. And we reached out to SFWP to co-host. And we're envisioning this to be a program with a short speaking component, but primarily being about getting Democrats together in a room again and being a mixer for us to share space. And I also wanted to mention that that we're planning on hosting an orientation with the newly elected and appointed delegates to the DSCC in March. We want to let them know what to expect when they go to convention, answer any questions they have, let them know how the party functions. And that would kind of be an orientation aspect of it. And then we'll invite everyone who isn't new to being a delegate to have a meet and greet afterwards and to also socialize with each other. And that would potentially, we're hoping it'll be in March, either March 15th or 18th, and we'll send out information to confirm, but definitely invite all of you on this committee to meet all the new delegates, or all the delegates from San Francisco, and to share space with each other. So really look forward to coordinating that as well. And that concludes my report, Chair. I'm trying to get Director Kelly, oh, actually she's here, to give her report. Henny, are you there?
It looks like she's muted.
Oh, asked to unmute. Chair, I know you skipped over the fundraising report. I don't know if you wanted to go to that and then come back to Director Kelly.
Oh, apologies. Well, yes, thank you for the reminder. We are actually planning 2 fundraisers in the next coming months. In April or May, we are hoping to have a fundraiser on the west side. One of the locations that we are looking at is the Beach Chalet, though if folks have suggestions, places that would be appropriate, that also won't be too expensive, please let us know. We are actually aiming to have this be one of our lower cost fundraisers. So it'll be low barrier, more people will be able to attend, and it'll also hopefully be fun as well. And then in addition to that, obviously we are looking at finalizing our dates for our big fundraising gala, which will be later in the year. And we're also looking at finalizing some details with our chosen honoree. So we will update you once all of those details are in place. And that concludes my report for fundraising. Are we still having issues getting Henny on the line?
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I think what I can do is, I know that one of the updates that she was going to give, not to steal her thunder, but just to make sure that we keep this moving, is that we will have a convention of May 26th through 28th in Los Angeles. So I encourage all of you Democrats, anyone who wants to go. It is a really great way to make connections with Democrats from all across the state, obviously, but also, I mean, California really matters. So you will see people from people who are interested in running for president, people who are running in states across the country, come to California and come to our convention. So I know for the last few years, we've seen Bernie Sanders come by the Democratic Party convention here in California. That's always been really exciting. We've certainly had other representatives as well. So again, get those tickets now, and also get those hotel rooms now, because they do tend to go up in price over time, and it can get very, very pricey. I've made that mistake recently and firmly regret it. So I will be buying my tickets and reserving my hotel room very shortly. Applications for members of the KDEM committee are going to be released after the convention as well, if you're interested. And also there will be a nominating convention happening in November. So just keep your eyes out, and hopefully, you know, our CDBT Regional Director, Henny Kelly, can give us more details when she's able to get on the line. All right, with that, we will go ahead and move on to our next agenda item. Item number 7 is a report for the California Reparations Task Force from Reverend Amos Brown of the NAACP. So at this time, I will actually pass it on to Member Barry in case she wants to make a more formal introduction to this agenda item. And again, thank you, Member Barry, for organizing this for us.
Thank you, Chair. I think Reverend Brown needs no introduction. If you know anything about San Francisco, he gave a wonderful public comment last night at the Board of Education about the disservice our community has been experience since the 40+ years he's been coming to meetings and advocating for what's right. He is on the California State Reparations Task Force, as well here in San Francisco on the Reparations Committee. So with no further ado, happy Black History Month. Go ahead, Mr. Dr. Reverend Amos Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I am inexpressibly pleased and delighted to share with you briefly on a very important topic. And I want to applaud this Democratic Central Committee for affording us the opportunity to deal with this critical issue. And I would like to put it in the context of this. If someone has done harm to either one of you, and the facts are presented who caused the harm, yes, there is a hearing, there is discussion, but after facts have been presented, as Joe Friday used to say in Dragnet, it's very likely that you will get a verdict in your favor. What I want to say to you, reparations is nothing but dealing with the facts around the harm that was done to Black folks at different intervals in history. The first instance was when Aristotle, one of the so-called fathers of Western thought, made the comment in his writing, The Politics. Thank God for technology. You can Google it. It was during the 4th century BC. What did Aristotle say? He said that the Black man and the Ethiopian were inferior because our skin was dark. That the only way we could become somebody, we have to go up to Europe and become lighter. He said that. That's a fact. The other thing that he said was the Black man or the Ethiopian would never be capable of self-governance. We would always have to have a white man or white woman over us. But we all know that's a lie. But friends, that lie was told and it stayed intact. It circulated the globe. And that's the reason why we had 400 years of that evil Atlantic slave trade. And then another 244 years of legalized, systematized oppression of Black folks in America. Well, California is not that clean. Let's jump to California. The very first governor of this state, who was he? One Peter Burnett, an arch racist from down there in Nashville, Tennessee, who led the first wagon train westward in 1843. And what was the stipulation for that train? No mulattoes or Black would be permitted to be in this wagon train. And if they are caught here, they will be beaten every 6 months until they leave town. But when he got up to the Oregon Territory and settled that little town, Germantown, what did he do? His first act of business was not how a cabin should be built or how even a road should be built, but it was that evil, evil ordinance. No mulattoes was settled in this town. And if they're caught here, they'd be beaten every 6 months until they leave town. That, my friend, stayed on the books of the state of Oregon until 1926. Let's jump down to California. When he led that other wagon train in 1848, ended up over there at Suttersfield near Sacramento, got involved in politics, and emerged to become the first governor of this state. So why do I cite this history? I cited to say this virus was sown in the DNA and the body politic of this state and this city, even San Francisco, by the way, I'm gonna share with you parenthetically, where the first chapter of the Ku Klux Klan was established in California. That's a matter of history. Let's fast forward again. The so-called redevelopment under Justin Herman and Ali Odo. What did they do after we had built the economy of this town here in San Francisco? They came up with that plan. It was not about renewal. It was about genocide. It was about Black removal. And that's why, my friends, I say to you respectfully, this Black population has been destroyed in this town from the 70s of 16 to 17%. Now we're down to 4%. That did not happen by accident. It happened by intentional public policy. Even the Fillmore, we won't be able to feel it anymore. If we do not reclaim those 2 blocks that are left there that were part of the Harlem of the West, when we had hotels, when we had businesses, when we had nightclubs, when we had office buildings, that was there before most of you on this call, and I do not say this disparagingly, before you were born. That community was destroyed. And what Brother Amos Brown is saying, if the Japanese can still historically continue to have Japantown when they were wrong, if the Chinese can still have Chinatown that's still in existence, if the Latinx can still have the Mission, and if the Italians can have North Beach, Little Italy, and the white folks got most of the financial district, at least we ought to have enough decency in San Francisco to say a form of reparations that's of substance, that's logical, that would be reliable, must be had for the Black community. We were wrong. We have the scars to prove it. And I say to you, I trust that you will not give life to the last of the great schoolmaster's words. Who was he? Benjamin Elijah Mays. Who was he? My teacher, Martin Luther King's spiritual and intellectual mentor. But do you know what Dr. Mays said in 1967? He said to the graduates at Morehouse College when he gave them their charge, our problem in the future will not come from the rabid segregationists like Rawls Barnett of Mississippi, Faubus of Arkansas, Lester Maddox of Georgia, or even George Wallace of Alabama. He said, young men, our problem will come from some or too many of the so-called progressive white liberals who will wine and dine you in the swankies of hotels, sip tea with you, but will refuse to share economic and political power with you. End of the quote. Do I say this is be insulting to anybody on this call who's called a progressive or liberal? No. But I'm saying it's time that San Francisco live up to its brand and image of being progressive and liberal and support reparations for African Americans. Others have gotten it when they were wrong, and we have been wrong. And I trust that this night you will prove that you will be on the right side of history and say, we will follow the lead of this task force who will give us a basic programmatic plan for reparations. And don't you get sidetracked by that red herring about $5 million. That was somebody saying what they felt the harm was to them individually. But we are deliberative people. We have common sense, and we know how to think. And I think that you see that in us, and you will support this task force, when it presents to the Board of Supervisors a plan to repair the harm that is still being done to Black folks in this town. The median income for Black folks is $30,000 a year. But for whites, $110,000. I could go on to give you other information, but I will end right here. And if you have any questions or comments, I'll be glad to respond to them, and we can all together come to common ground and reason together and get a unanimous vote supporting reparations for Blacks in the city and county of San Francisco.
Thank you, Reverend Brown. I appreciate your presentation and for you being here tonight. Does anyone have any questions or any comments that they'd like to make on the presentation to Reverend Dr. Amos Brown? I see Member Lee.
Yeah, I'll keep this incredibly short. Reverend Brown, my name is Janice Lee. I just want to thank you for taking your time being here today and sharing your history. You've been doing it for your entire life, and sort of bearing your soul to us and continuing to do the work. So thank you for pushing us and educating us and taking the time to do that. And you have my support.
Thank you, Member Lee. Vice Chair Baraka.
Yes, Reverend Brown, I too thank you for coming and giving a very enlightening presentation. My question has to do with reparations and maybe something that's related to reparations, and that's the problem that we're having in this country with police abuse. And locally, we just recently had an incident where a member of our community was shot and killed by a police officer, and the DA has now decided to not pursue that case. I noticed that you were in the news recently about this incident, and I'm wondering if any conversation on this whole reparations discussion also involves the abuse that we're experiencing from organizations that are supposed to protect us. So I'm just curious if there are any conversations around that with regard.
Oh yes, definitely about this criminal justice system that is really broken, about restorative justice. We haven't got much of it, even in terms of these reentry programs in San Francisco. But to be more specific, I differed with the DA. You see, I can differ with a person and not be disagreeable or put them on a bad list. I feel that that was a bad decision, and I'm not apologetic about it. We must see that even with the way the police have been treating us, they're doing it again because of that virus that got into the DNA of seeing us, not as human beings, but as tools. That's why that policeman up in Minnesota, where I used to pastor, put his knee on that young man's neck, George Floyd. He didn't see him as being human. We were vast cog in the plantation machinery. We're not human. And consequently, when people who are police personnel who are supposed to be keeping the peace and being professional go around and do what has been done, even if it was old blacks down there in Memphis, they inherited, they became infected with that meanness and that inhumanity. And I definitely stand saying we must have, as a part of reparations, restorative justice, and also cleaning up this criminal justice system and make justice fair and never partial.
Thank you.
Next, we have, and this will be our last question or comment, Member Ibanez.
Thank you so much, Chair Mahogany. I don't have a question, it's more of a comment. I do want to personally thank you, Reverend Brown, for being here with us and really talking about the history and the importance of it, and how throughout history, through time, there's been so many efforts to really dismantle white supremacy and racism that are the essence of the fabric of this society. And I think that we have to do what it needs to do, and supporting reparations is the most important thing. That we have to do it because we have to start. You know, we always talk, we have to start somewhere. And anytime that something comes up that some people, some groups may not like it, especially when the establishments may feel threatened or whatever, there's always that they'll come and throw it at us. But I stand with you, I stand with the Black community in fighting to dismantle white supremacy and racism. It's an illness, it's a disease that we can no longer tolerate, and we shouldn't be tolerated. And it's at every level of our society, from the criminal justice system to our education. As an educator, I can tell you that it's within the educational system, that is within our government. And so, yeah, I stand with you in this fight. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. And once again, thank you, Dr. Reverend Amos Brown, for being here.
And I hope I see all of y'all at Board of Supervisors. You have the time and the energy on the 14th at 2 o'clock. It's time for all hands to be on deck for justice. And let me say this, I stood up for the gay community in this town years ago as a Black Baptist preacher from Mississippi. I've been out there even when it came around to hate crimes against the Asian community. If we go back in history, it was Howard Washington Thurman, along with Dr. Fisk at San Francisco State, who stood up and called out America about those camps the Japanese were put in. Back in 1882, it was Frederick Douglass who stood up and fought that Chinese Exclusionary Act. Why do I underscore this as a historian? I underscore it to say, we must do unto others as we would have them do unto us. And we should not want to be still and wink and look the other way in the face of injustice and brutality. But we must be consistent. And now is the time for us to be consistent for Black folks in this town. Do you know over there at Lincoln High School what the student said to this 15-year-old honor student? Why don't you go and pick some cotton? That happened last week. But you know what they were going to do at first? Sweep it under the rug. And I made contact with the principal and said, no, we can't do that. You can't do that. You need to call that whole student body together, the faculty, even the janitors, and say, in this school, we will not tolerate racialized, bigoted language toward anybody. And when we don't do that, we become accomplice and encourage bigotry in this town. I could give you other examples of where it's going on, and it's all happening to Black people. And in the state of California, we're at the top of the list when it comes to hate crimes. And this is not being in a game of comparing who's been hurting, who hurt the most. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. And I ain't talking about nobody. But I'm saying it's time we stop what's been happening to Black folks in San Francisco. And San Francisco gets away with it and does nothing about it. So we need you to help us, that we may bring back that Fillmore over there. Those last 2 blocks, if we don't have that, it says we are not a part of the rainbow. And we got to have everybody in the rainbow if it's to be a rainbow. Variety is a spice of life. Diversity does not mean deficiency. And let us get on with it. And I appreciate your time. God bless you. If you ever need me to do some good, holy preaching and some fussing too, for justice, for inclusion, and peace and love. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Amos Brown. We appreciate you being here. With that, we will actually move right on into to our resolutions. And our first resolution is item number 8, the resolution in support of reparations at the federal, state, and local level. This is brought forward by Member Barry, and I would just like to note that I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Chair, I see Kathleen's
Oh, I'm
hand up.
sorry. Oh, yes. Ms. McDonough.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Member Barry, for bringing this forward. And it was great, of course, to see Reverend Brown. Senator Feinstein supports this. She is on the record supporting it. She's actually one of the original co-sponsors with Cory Booker of S40. So she is on board. But because this is right now currently pending in front of the Senate, she is going to abstain tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know ahead of time. Do we have can we have a motion to consider this item, please?
So move.
Thank you, Member Ibanez.
Second.
Thank you for seconding, Vice Chair Lacroix. Member Barry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Amos Brown, for your presentation and making yourself available for discussion. Good evening, Democrats. Happy Black History Month. I hope everyone got to experience some of the amazing events here in the Bay Area celebrating Black excellence. We still have a week left, and I hope if you didn't get to an event, you do, and more so learn something new like I always do. This resolution is the most emotional, powerful, and it's a big responsibility to present on a matter that is long overdue. It will bring some healing to Black people and ultimately help make America a better place. I was so happy to see that Senator Booker introduced a sister bill to H.R. 40, S40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparations Proposal for African Americans, to the Senate with 12 co-sponsors. Like Senator Feinstein's proxy said, she's also a co-author of that bill. I just realized the bill had the number 40, which reminds me we were promised 40 acres a mule and a mule assassination of the president. Also, Senator Padilla and Senator Bernie Sanders co-authored the bill. 39 votes to go, and we need to encourage our fellow Democrats in the Senate to pass it. Senator Booker said our nation must reckon with our dark past of slavery and its continued oppression of African Americans, fueled by white supremacy and racism. California AB 3121, authored by former Assemblywoman Weber, now our Secretary of State, and approved by our governor, task force, has been working diligently on the state level recommendations. I hope you have all read their recommendations and support their efforts. Supervisor Walton introduced the legislation that was voted on unanimously by the San Francisco Board of Supervisors to form the Reparations Committee, which I am a member of. He is sorry he could not be here tonight because he is a keynote speaker at a Black History event at City Hall. Please note that no one seemed to care about the Reparations Committee until a dollar amount was included in the 111 recommendations. Until this day, I have not heard about 110 of the recommendations from those that are against it. Fox News did a segment slamming San Francisco Reparations Committee, so we must be doing something right. And I hope you all will be on the right side of history and support this resolution. In the spirit of Supervisor Walton, who often recites a quote, I have a quote for you from Dante King's book, The 400-Year Holocaust. He writes, "That is why scrutiny is so urgent. Each day that passes without white psychopathy and sociopathy being put on trial is another when whites can act without fear of consequence for destroying Black lives. To do this, we must confront untruths with truth. Where we find dehumanization, we must humanize. When we hear unnerving silence, we must scream. Where we see ignorance, we must educate. For every injury we find, we must apply a bomb. Thank you again for members. I want to thank Member Galata for co-sponsoring this resolution.
Thank you, Member. Would any other members like to make comment on this item? Vice Chair Lacroix?
Yes, I just want to start off by saying thank you to Member Berry for bringing forward this resolution, and as well to the entire reparations task force, both in San Francisco and the state of California, and to Supervisor Shimon Walton for having just the courage to put this forward, knowing that folks will feel a type of way, but that's okay because they can. It's something that is long overdue. I think I'll just leave it at that. I look forward to supporting this resolution and adding my name as a co-sponsor and being there on March 14th for the hearing at the full board.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. Proxy for Pelosi, Mr. McCoy.
Hi, apologies for having my camera off at the moment. Wanted to thank Member Berry for bringing this forward. We spoke earlier, and I'm wondering if Member Berry would be open to a friendly amendment to also add urging Congress to pass HR 40 and the first resolve clause.
Chair, may I respond?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I absolutely accept the amendment where we will put in the first whereas, include that right after it says S40 to add the sister bill to HR 40. And then in the resolved that we also support, or we urge the House of Representatives to pass HR 40. And then a copy of this resolution in the final further resolve be sent to Representative Jackson Lee, who was the author of HR 40.
Thank you, Member Berry.
Thank you. Perfect.
Vice Chair Lacroix.
Sorry, your train of thought catches up with you later. I just also wanted to add on that I had the privilege, actually I'll say privilege, to read the full reparations task force recommendation. And I encourage everyone on this call, and if you're listening in on this recording, to pick it up and read it as well. I think the reparations task force did an excellent job of doing two parts. Like one, coming up with a comprehensive list of recommendations for reparations in San Francisco and what they may look like. And also just demonstrating the need for it and the history and all of the ways in which, just like, yeah, the history where it comes to like urban renewal and slavery and just like all the different things, not just, just kind of describing the full picture. And, for someone who grew up here, I was like, oh yeah, I know this, or I studied this. And there are still some things that was like a refresher or a new topic that was brought up. So I do want to just extend some additional amendments to the members of the task force and the HRC for their work in putting together that comprehensive recommendation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. I just wanted to add that, yes, there's definitely a long history of discrimination in this country, and some of which I am familiar with. And also, I did not know that the Ku Klux Klan was founded here in San Francisco. That is news to me. And, I'm, as someone who was also born and raised in San Francisco, that's not a part of my history that I am proud of, but it's something that I am glad that I am aware of. when we talk about reparations in this country, we talk about broken promises, and you think about that, 40 acres and a mule, and how that wealth at that time, that generational wealth, could have accumulated and impacted people who were formerly slaves in this country, and how different our world would look if those promises were kept and not erased by history. So, in reality, I think that the recommendations that are being made, as well as the analysis that is being made by this task force, are, do not compare really to the amount that is owed, but I think that they are a step in the right direction. And I think that they are, will be a historic moment for San Francisco, and a huge achievement, I think, for justice, starting here in San Francisco, but really that could echo across the country, because, as I said earlier, people really look to California, but also specifically San Francisco, when they think of advancing social justice, equity, progressive policy. And so this is a really important work. And I just want to, really uplift the leadership of Supervisor Walton. I'm just so used to saying President Walton, but Supervisor Walton, who really went out on a limb to continue doing this work. And, I have spoken to both him and his staff about some of the pressures that they've been facing, the calls, the death threats, the harassment that has been so extreme. And unfortunately, in this incredibly politically divisive time that we find ourselves in, this seems too commonplace. But, in reality, whenever I think we bring up reparations, or whenever we bring up injustice, and I will say, oftentimes specifically within the civil rights movement, and even before then, you get this sort of violent pushback. And it's something that we absolutely have to take seriously. But it also should be a sign for us, as I believe Member Berry said, and Vice Chair Lacroix and others have said as well, that we are doing the right thing, that we are addressing something that is in need of addressing, and that we are hopefully going to be moving forward and taking a step forward into a more equitable future. So I'm very happy to be able to co-sponsor this, and thank you again to Member Berry for bringing this forward. Vice Chair Braca.
I just wanted to thank you, Member Berry, for doing such an excellent job on not only on your work here, but with the reparations task force. I just wanted to briefly cover a few bullet points. Reparations have been granted to various groups in the United States, although specific forms and extent have varied widely. Japanese Americans who were interred during World War II received reparations in the form of a formal apology and a large cash payment of $20,000 per person as a part of the Civil Liberties Act of 1988. Native American tribes have received reparations in the form of land and financial compensation for the historical taking of their lands, as well as compensation for other historical injustices such as forced relocation and cultural suppression. In 1983, the US government established a $1.6 billion with a B fund to compensate victims of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, a study conducted by the US Public Health Service, which ended, by the way, in 1972. In which Black men with syphilis were left untreated for decades. So, in recent years, here we are. We've been discussing reparations. I don't have much more to say. I'm going to let the facts remain as they are. But 400 plus years of oppression, slavery, brutal genocide. America, this isn't hard. This isn't hard at all, actually. Do the right thing. That is all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Braca. Colleagues, I believe it is now time to put this to a vote. Do we have a motion to approve the item as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. Is there a second?
Second.
I believe that was Member Avalos. I think we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And then I know Senator Feinstein, I think, has to abstain. Is there anyone else that needs to abstain? All right, congratulations, the motion passes. We will now move on to item number 9. This is a resolution condemning legislative attacks on LGBTQ people, particularly transgender youth. And I am wondering if we can have a motion to consider this item.
So moved.
Second.
Baraka and Lacroix, thank you so much. Colleagues, I know that we've passed resolutions similar to this one before. I think the last time we did it was in March 2021. And unfortunately, things have only gotten worse since then. Since then, we've had a litany of bills that have been introduced, both federally and also, all across the country. We started out this year with already 700 anti-LGBTQ and anti-trans bills introduced all across the country. We also have now currently a Congress that is Republican-led, specifically in the House of Representatives, where members are already threatening to introduce anti-trans bills this year. And among dozens of bills that are being introduced, some of them would restrict trans healthcare and even the use of appropriate and affirming pronouns. The most, I think, draconian of these is one that is in Oklahoma that would ban gender affirming care up to the age of 26. So not even up until someone is an adult, can serve in a war, not even up until someone can legally drink alcohol, but up to the age of 26, denying adults, trans adults specifically, equal access to healthcare. In addition to some of these regressive laws, we are also seeing laws pop up across the country banning drag shows. And the conversation started with Drag Queen Story Hour, and now is just drag all in general. This is getting ridiculous. This is a little bit too much of history repeating itself. It wasn't very long ago that we had laws on the books that banned people from quote unquote cross-dressing or wearing clothing that affirmed their gender identity, and that could land them in jail. There were also, of course, anti-sodomy laws that were on the books until recently. And unfortunately, we see our country slipping back towards this. The LGBT community has been scapegoated, has been used as a tool to really further the right-wing agenda, to scare people. And misinformation is a huge part of this. But the tool I think that this body has is to speak out, to pass resolutions opposing these things, and then also to make sure that we are doing everything we can to elect representatives who are going to fight for us, fight for all of our communities, and ensure that we do not allow those who are bigots or those who are just so craven for power that they will do anything to get it, make sure that they do not win. So I'm hoping to get your support on this resolution in opposing all of these attacks on the LGBTQ community, on trans children, on trans people, on drag queens, and on the LGBTQ community in general. So thank you for the time. And again, sorry to bring this up yet again at this meeting, but it's just been really hard to watch personally for me. Would anyone else like to make comment on this item? I see Member Moliga and then Vice Chair Baraka.
Chair Mahogany, really appreciate you bringing this up. My son is he's queer, and he's out of the country, and so there's one thing about America. We've actually been doing a really good job in terms of advocating and fighting for our LGBT community, especially our trans group. And I think San Francisco really has done a great job around that. But as chair is talking about tonight, it needs to be elevated even more. Even being in a country that supports our LGBT community so much, it's not enough in all other areas. You know, I got my kid, he's out there in Africa, and you know, part of him is happy, but another part of him is like, you know, Daddy, you know, I can see the benefits of being in San Francisco. You know, I can be myself. I can be, you know, who I would like to be. And, you know, for me, you know, all this stuff going on, you know, I think about the kids who are coming up. We're also going through, you know, discovering who they are, such as my son. And it's so important for us to, you know, continue to put this at the forefront and advocate and fight for our LGBT trans community so much, ever more, with all the hate attacks going on. So I just want to put that out there and really appreciate the chair for bringing this forward. And thank you everyone else who's supporting this tonight.
Thank you, Member Maliga. Vice Chair Baraka.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few quick things, and that the first thing is that this is really scary. I'm not a person that lives in a lot of fear. That's just not one of the things that was built into me. That's just who I am, I guess. But I'm really fearful for parents and for trans men and women across this country and in many ways across the world. What's happening in Florida is terrible. If I were a parent in Texas right now and I had a trans kid, I literally would be packing my shit. It is crazy. Excuse my language. Come on, where are we going? This is terrible. Thank you, Chair Mahogany, for putting this together. And I just encourage folks to really take this seriously. People are getting hurt. Trans Black women have been suffering from very high murder rates for way too long. And we deserve better. We deserve better. Our community deserves better. And then just one of my favorite sayings, injustice done to one is justice done to all. So everyone should be doing what they can to protect our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Baraka. Member Ibanez.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for bringing this resolution forward. I'm strong in favor of this resolution. We need to be loud in support of our LGBTQ plus community. What is happening across the country, it's something that by now we should actually be celebrating it. We should actually be ensuring and making sure that our kids who are non-binary or identifying it as not binary, that they feel safe at every space, at every level that they are, not just necessarily in San Francisco, but even here in San Francisco, it's also very scary. I know my goddaughter fears for her life, and it's not just her, but it's also the community. And when you look at the organizations that are behind this, are the same organizations that over and over and over are the ones who are taking rights away from all of us, are the ones who also were against civil rights and everything that we have done. And you even look at the organizations that call the Alliance Defending Freedom. Is that really true that they're defending freedom? And then you look in terms of Betsy DeVos. We know her trajectory. So when we see organizations like this, when you see the Heritage Foundation, they have a trajectory of being racist and promoting white supremacy. And we need to stand up against them. And we need to ensure that we, the Democratic Party, our community, everyone, that we create those safe spaces, that we need to fight for this, and that this is at a timing that is greatly needed. This resolution is needed, whether it was introduced something similar a year ago or 2 years ago. We look in terms of what's going on now compared to 2 years ago, it's a big difference. And we need to ensure that we keep reminding people how important it is for us to be defending and standing with our LGBTQ plus community. So I urge everyone to support this resolution.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Vice Chair Levitt.
I'm sorry, it's like that.
This is more of a question. I am curious where the attempts to reform San Francisco those ban on travel and contracts with 30 states that have anti-LGBTQ legislation, also extended to those opposing abortion rights, voting, weakening voting rights, where that currently stands with SF government. Because I think if effectively implemented, that's a really powerful way of sanctioning and saying we will not do business with states. We will exercise our economic muscle and say that that is not okay. Is there a way to strengthen those bans? Because if I'm hearing there's attempts at reform, and there's been a lot of waivers that essentially erode the principle of the ban.
Yes, I actually don't know what the update on the ban is. I would need to do a little more research. Are you suggesting we add that as an amendment to the resolved clauses?
I don't have an amendment without the details, but it would be worth just kind of mentioning that is an effective, could be an effective way. And it's something that we've had on the books since 2016.
That's right. That's
if
right.
Implemented, effectively.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up, and perhaps we can send a letter, just inquiring about that, because I do not know what the update is on those bans and how that is playing out currently. I thought there was another comment. Oh, I think we're done. Well, thank you, colleagues, for your comments and your support. At this time, can we have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Member Banez moved, and then there was a second from, was it Avalos? Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure that that's on the record. I believe we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Thank you, colleagues, for your unanimous support of this resolution. Now move on to item number 10. This is a resolution calling for continued support of expanded nutritional assistance. Can I have a motion to consider this item, please?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Member Ibanez, seconded by Vice Chair Lacroix. Thank you, colleagues. So currently, there's an estimate that 70,000 San Francisco households, constituting around 100,000 people, will be experiencing a dramatic decrease in their CalFresh benefits come April. The San Francisco Human Services Agency actually estimates that the average San Francisco CalFresh eligible household will receive $160 less per month, which is about $11 million less in buying power for those who are most in need of this type of support. Now, this drop in CalFresh benefits means hungry San Franciscans will hit food pantries even harder and even in greater numbers than they have before, at a time when food pantries are struggling with a significant loss of buying power due to inflation and also increased costs of food production, bird flu, all of these factors. And right now, this is not a time where we can really afford to, as a city, be cutting nutritional assistance. We really need to make sure that we as San Franciscans are not letting our fellow residents go to sleep hungry. And that's why I'm going to ask for your support for this resolution. I will add that as an aid, as a legislative aid during the pandemic, we saw just how powerful being able to provide those types of resources to keep families fed was, how important it was, how much of a need there really was here in San Francisco. And I think we actually were able to make some progress in helping meet that need. And I would hope that that progress would not be discontinued just because we are seeing the pandemic sort of pull back, because the reality is that right now we are seeing economic forces at play here that are making people in some ways more desperate than ever. So colleagues, I'm really hoping to get your support that would urge the continued financial support of food programs here in San Francisco to help our most, those families, those children, those seniors, those people with disabilities, everyone who is unable to feed themselves, because having access to food is a human right. And it is something that benefits us as a city as a whole. So thank you so much. And I'll open it up to comments. Member Barry.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair Mahogany. This, when I saw this on the news, I couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, I was a recipient of those benefits probably for a couple of years or whatnot. And even though I was on house, at least I knew I could eat with those benefits. I hate to say something so raw, but it's to the point, the prices of food is higher. The benefits are gonna go lower. At what point do we even start understanding if people want to steal some food out of Safeway? I'm not advocating that people do that, but there's got to be a point where desperation kicks in and it's almost understandable. And that's where times are heading. I mean, I can't stand eggs, but what I hear is the price of those are so high now. Is, you know, people eat that every day. Some, you know, households have children, seniors. So thank you. This is unbelievable that this is being done, and thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you, Member Barry. Member Ibanez.
Thank you so much, Chair Mahogany, for introducing this resolution. Yet I support this resolution wholeheartedly. I'm at a school site. I see hunger every day. It's kids depend on school for their breakfast, for their lunch, and for their dinner meals. And in our society, and especially in a city as wealthy as San Francisco, that should not be happening. And even in a wealthy state as California. Food insecurity is growing at every level. We saw it with the pandemic, but it has not ended. It's actually getting worse. And we need to ensure that those $200 for some people, for a very small group of people, $200 may not be significant, but for a working family, for a poor family, $200 is really significant. It can mean literally having a roof over your head or being homeless. And so this is something that we should pass by acclamation. We should be, I mean, the state should be ashamed that they're taking this $200 from our families. $200 does not buy you much nowadays with the cost of food. And if you even notice and start comparing in terms of how families are buying, I remember going to the Safeway up in Diamond Heights by where I live, seeing families with carts. This is before the permit, them carts full of food. Now you see those carts half empty or a lot less. And families and working families are scrambling just to get by. So yeah, I am 100% behind this resolution. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Recording Secretary Lee.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. Like others have shared here, I have also been on food stamps when I first graduated from college. I was very poor, and I was working in Buffalo at the peak of the 2008 recession and was working at a community center, working with youth every day. And I would have not survived without food stamps. I'm actually not sure where I would be today if I didn't have that ability to feed myself, honestly. And it's a reminder that some of our most low-income workers are the folks who are providing the most essential services, who are most affected by benefits like this. It's our teachers, like Member Ibanez said, it's our social workers, it's our homeless outreach workers in permanent supportive housing, it's our nurses, our service workers in grocery stores. And those are the folks who are further impacted when these fixed costs and these social safety net programs change. And, we have these clear fixed costs of housing, transportation, and food. Those are generally the top three in any California household. Housing is what it is. We can have that debate another day. I'll say for transportation, I'm very proud at BART. We are just about to increase our low income discount program from 20% to 50%. And it is shocking to me that we can't get our shit together around food costs. So I hope that there's something that we can do more. I know that there's a lot of great other programs in the world and things that our city funds, but if we can't feed ourselves, then what are we doing here?
Thank you, Member Lee. Vice Chair Braca.
I just wanted to say real quickly, because this is a very, very important one to me as well. My parents were really into making sure that the community had enough food. We had a food bank at our church. My mother was always into it, and she was raised during the Depression, and actually her family had the opportunity to actually feed many of the people in our community. And I just grew up with that sensibility. Now, there was just one time, my mom doesn't agree with me. She says, that didn't happen. But there was one time when I was a kid, I was hungry and we didn't have any food. I'm lucky to say that only happened one time, and my mom denies it, but it happened. I remember. But the point I'm saying is that when you're hungry, there's not much else that you can do. And if you're hungry and you're in school, you're not going to be able to learn anything in that classroom if your stomach is rumbling and all you can think about is how you're going to eat, where you're going to get food from. This is basic. I think this is basic for the world's wealthiest nation. It shouldn't be a hard call at all. So thank you again, Chair Mahogany, for bringing this to the floor, and I will definitely be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Braca. Member Moliga.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. Some of you probably saw this article in the newspaper. A barrier households hold more wealth than the bottom 50% combined of families. This is in San Mateo County and Santa Clara County, right? 8 households holds more wealth than 50% combined. So I say all that to say that, and I was listening to Senator Bernie Sanders earlier today, right? Like we are at a time where things are just imbalanced, right? Like we need to recalibrate to the point where things are fair and everybody's getting equal distribution. And it is just not happening, right? The wealth gap is just expanding more and more and more. And I think we need to just continue being loud. We need to continue writing these resolutions, and we need to continue supporting elected officials, leaders who are going to be able to carry that for us. Because if not, we're going to be sitting here today, continuously talking about, $200 being taken away while other folks are, in way better situations. So, sounds like a lot of us on this call have been on food stamps, including myself. I keep it in my wallet just to remind me to work hard every day. But, people rely on public government to do the right thing. And so thank you, Chair, for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Member Moliga. Vice Chair Lacroix.
Sorry, I just want to make sure that Member Barry's point is brought up into the recording, that you're right. She wrote, plus school lunches aren't always that great. And that's so true. In my time working with young people and being at an SFUSD school for a year, I remember I would ask those people, I was I just see lunches or apples and this, and they're they're not good, or the apples don't rot, or stuff like that. And so giving people the access to be able to buy food for them and their households on their own terms without, someone getting using that food stamp card to go to the farmer's market and, and get things that, their household will need. It's so important. And actually, this is so timely. I was talking to my sister earlier today, and she was just sharing the story of a family who it's the parent and their special needs child, they just got denied food stamps. And it's just for all the people and families that need it, there's you're getting turned away or getting it reduced. And there's just so many folks. It's a basic need, the same way shelter, a roof over your head, water to consume and wash your clothes and body with, as well as food to eat, are just like the basic needs. And I think we're struggling to have the basic needs in the country and in a state and in a city that is with so much wealth around us and surrounding us. And that's such a hard thing to kind of grapple with, but just wanted to share my 2 cents.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. Seeing no other hands, can we have a motion to approve this resolution?
So
moved.
Second.
I heard Member Ibanez and seconded by Vice Chair Baraka. I believe we can do this by acclamation as Member Ibanez suggested. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? And any abstentions?
Yeah, Assemblymember Ting is abstaining.
Thank you. Noted. Assemblymember Ting abstains. Any other abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you, colleagues. This resolution passes. We'll now move on to the final item for the evening. This is a resolution in support of the American Social Safety Net programs. Colleagues, can I have a motion to consider this item?
So moved.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Recording Secretary Lee. Well, it's been roughly 1 year since Rick Scott released his party's plan to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block, and gutting these essential programs is now central to the MAGA Republican agenda. But since then, Republican elected officials across the country have really doubled down on this extreme agenda, which would crucially hurt American working families and seniors and the disabled. The Republicans Senate committee, study committee, which represents a majority of House Republicans, has endorsed the idea of gutting Social Security and Medicare, while Republican Senate and Republican presidential hopefuls are making gutting these critical programs a key part of their platforms as they race to win over the MAGA base. Protecting Social Security and Medicare will be one of the most important issues in 2024. And Democrats must stand united in our fight to protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. I'm actually, I don't know how many of you were able to catch Biden's address, but it was, he was right. Republicans are coming for Social Security just as they came for abortion, just as they're coming for LGBTQ rights, and to be in the wealthiest nation in the world and to not be able to take care of our seniors, many of whom, by the way, these are programs that we have all paid into, that we've worked years putting money into, that we are supposed to be able to rely on as we reach an age where we can no longer work, so that we can, basically age with grace and not be an undue burden on our children and our families. And these basic safety net programs, which we thought that we could rely on, have been eroded, are continuing to be eroded, and if the Republicans had their way, would be completely eliminated. So colleagues, I'm hoping to get your support on this resolution opposing this and reaffirming our commitment to ensuring that we in this country value our social safety net programs. We value our seniors, those who are disabled, and that in this country, we believe that by taking care of those who are most at risk, who are most vulnerable, we actually are helping everyone. And so again, I hope to have your support on this resolution. Would anyone like to provide comment? Member Berry?
At this point, I just want to say it's a damn shame that all the resolutions tonight, we even have to present them. This country has so much money. It's just ridiculous. Thank you for your leadership on this, to make sure seniors can live, to make sure people have humanity is something we have to constantly fight for. And it's just disgusting to me, but thank you.
Thank you, Member Berry. And I agree, it does feel a little bit repetitive sometimes, but there's just so much that is being attacked right now. All right, I see no other comments. Can we have a vote to approve this agenda item? Or a motion, I'm sorry.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, I heard, I think Member Banez and then Recording Secretary Lee. I believe we can also do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed, nay? And any abstentions? All right, thank you. This passes unanimously. Thank you for your support, colleagues. The next agenda item is item number 12. I lied, that was not the last one. There's one more, which is new business. Does anyone have any new business they'd like to bring to the body? Okay.
I would like to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't raise my hand.
Go
ahead, Vice Chair.
Go to Vice Chair Lacroix, and then we'll go to Member Berry, and then we'll go to Member Avalos.
No, I just have an in memoriam section.
Oh, okay. Member Berry?
Yeah, I just wanted to, maybe not on the agenda, but just in the future, if we could work on our bylaws, especially the recall section, so that that can be a finalized process.
Sure, we can hold a meeting of the bylaws committee. Executive Director Garcia, can you coordinate with us to make sure that we have a date on the books? And then I believe it's Member Avalos.
Yeah. Yes. Hello, colleagues. Just wanted to see if there's interest in considering a resolution to affirm the San Francisco sanctuary policy and due process policy, both weathered. Actually, the update to the sanctuary policy was made in 2016, and it was done at a time when we were experiencing extreme xenophobia against immigrants during the presidential election, when Donald Trump made it an issue to attack immigrants. And this had happened after we had weathered the storm of the accidental shooting of Kate Steinle and brought national attention to San Francisco sanctuary policy. This is a policy that should withhold the way that criminal justice is being waved around as a solution to our political crisis that we're experiencing in the country. And I think it's important that we affirm our commitment to that and make sure that our elected officials here can live up to it as well. So we'll be bringing forward a resolution to the next meeting so that we can consider that and vote in favor of that.
Thank you, Member Avalos, for
speaking co-sponsors as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward. With that, I don't see any other hands. We will now move on to in memoriams. So if anyone has someone who they lost, please raise your hand. I did want to, especially this month, really uplift those people who have passed to police violence, given everything that's happened in this last month. More recently, even here in San Francisco, regarding the case that's being dropped by the District Attorney's Office. And then also I wanted to note that President Jimmy Carter is now in hospice care, and we wanted to make sure to send his family and his loved ones our thoughts and positive vibes and best wishes for his recovery. With that, we'll go to Vice Chair Lacroix, and then Member Moliga, and then Member Berry.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. So I feel like just this time last year, I was bringing forth an in memoriam for a childhood friend that passed away, and this month again. So I want to offer up an in memoriam for my childhood friend, Philip Gopal, who passed away last month, earlier this month. He was my age, so early 30s, young man who was always just so smiling and warm and would literally give you the shirt or shoes off of his body if he could. And I just have the fondest of memories kind of growing up along Ocean Avenue, going to the 7-Eleven and hanging out and just walking around. And our families kind of came up together. We grew up together, and he'll be very much missed. I don't have his eulogy or book in front of me. The service is tomorrow, but I just wanted to make sure in this space that we honor and recognize him and send love to his family, the Gopals.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. Member Moliga.
Yeah, this is kind of a sad, hard thing to do. Thank you all first and foremost for supporting the resolution I brought forward to the committee around the violence with Pacific Islanders here in San Francisco. It really is sad to say that, another one of my kids who I actually was working with, was shot and killed, in addition to the one who actually, got me to write the resolution in the first place. So, his name is Fafetai Malepeai, and I do want to say that out loud and really just honor him. I know his mother is he's 15 years old, from San Francisco, Samoan kid. Everyone knows him, Samoan. His mother's at the graveside every day. I feel for her. She's a community advocate. She's worked really hard to make sure that her son was supported. And unfortunately, he was caught in acts of violence, like many of our other, family members and community members in the city. And so I just tell myself, you know what? I'm just going to keep coming. And every time the Samoan kid is killed in this city, we're just going to come bring it right back to the committee and say, hey, there's another one. And unfortunately, that's two within the last, what is it, 4 or 5 months. And there's not that many Samoan people in the city to say that, two have been shot and killed, right? So I know you all understand, I just want to, continue to bring that to the forefront. And I know folks are working on it, but, definitely want to give some good words to our young youth, Fafetai Malepeai. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Moliga. Member Berry.
Thank you, Chair. I have two. First, I'd like to pay my respects to Mr. Charlie Walker. He was known as the mayor of Bayview. There's a movie about his life. I had the honor of serving with him on the Beds for Bayview committee. We were the first people in the city to open up a safe place for homeless during the pandemic before the hotels got approved. And he's also the grandfather of Jeffria Simpson, who was the legislative aide for Supervisor Asha Safai. And then I also would like to, in the spirit of Black History Month, note that on this date in 1898, after Frazier Baker is appointed postmaster of Lake City, South Carolina, enraged local white people burn his home, fatally shoot him and his infant daughter, and wound his wife and other children. So, Mr. Frazier Baker. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Berry. And in their memories, we will officially adjourn this meeting. So thank you, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you next month.